Hello and welcome, and thank you for downloading this episode of Chats Over Coffee with my yoga teacher, the world's best yoga teacher and comedian podcast as far as I am aware. And if anyone can enlighten me as to others, then please don't, so that I can continue to use that as the selling point to the best of my knowledge. Only thing I need to mention before this one is that there's a reference to a class we did the day before, which is one we did without any pressure on the arms and wrists, so it was done without hands. Sort of. So you might sort of need to know that for a bit early on to make some sense. I hope you enjoy it.
It always talks like Microsoft SAM or whatever. It's like the database with 1, 2, 3 and has overcome. It's like, oh my god, what is it saying? I can't take it in. It's talking too slow.
When I try to write scripts, there's a program called Final Draft that you used to illegally download. I don't know if I should be admitting that they're going to come after me for 20 years
Well,
later.
Was it illegal then? I'm not sure.
Actually, maybe it was legal. Yeah, I think I bought it actually for loads of money. Yeah, so you could write a script, and it's a good script formatting software. And then at the end, you can make the program read out your script, but they do it as Microsoft Mike and Microsoft Mary and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like, oh, you are leaving me. No, do not go. I don't write melodramas, but I haven't written any scripts for a long, long time.
Have you done that in the past, then write something and then send it to someone?
Yeah, I have done, yeah. But only when I was young.
It's okay, you don't have to be embarrassed.
No, not, well... I thought
I've not done it since I've matured. Don't worry. I'm so embarrassed.
Well, yeah, I'm a bit embarrassed to read the thing now, but
you don't have to read it out loud.
Reading anything that you wrote when you were younger is just so embarrassing. Like the thing is now, I wonder, like, if you were like, I did write absolutely terrible stuff when I was in my teens. You know,
everybody does.
Yeah, but it's not on the internet. Whereas now, I suppose you probably think, oh, I best self-publish this little story, and then 10 years time,
Facebook will be like, reminder, you wrote this when you were a child. And then you're like, oh my god, delete.
I mean, I'll write stuff now that I'll be embarrassed about in 10 years' time as well. So, I mean, it just is what happens to some degree.
It's just a learning curve. I think maybe embarrassed probably isn't the right word for yoga teachers. It's more just like, oh, how could I get it so wrong? You know, like maybe if you look back at old classes that you used to teach and it's like, oh, sorry, people. You know, I was new. Give me a break. So, hi, how have you been?
Hello, I'm alright.
How are you after our hands-free flow last night?
It sounds like a Bluetooth device, doesn't it?
Okay, wristless flow? No, wrist-free flow. Arms-less flow? I don't know.
Well, it's just because, you know, like your hands-free phones, isn't it?
I was trying to figure out if it was hyphenated or not, so I searched hands-free, and it brought up all these headphones, didn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, hands-free.
It was, harder work than I thought it would be.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Or at least I assume that's a good thing, that it was harder work than you were expecting.
Yeah, maybe. I just sort of always think I'm going to, like, breeze through it because...
Because you've been doing it for so long?
No, just because it must be a masculine thing, sort of like, bring it on, you know. Bring on the hard yoga. And then it is hard. And then you're like, oh, I should have a day off. You know? And when it's hot as well, it's worse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit different when it's hot. I'm not sure if we've really talked about hot yoga. Have we talked about hot yoga?
I don't think so.
Well, I have a very maybe unpopular opinion about hot yoga.
Oh, good. Yeah, a bit of controversy. That will get this will go viral.
So, I don't like hot yoga. So that's not obviously that common. Loads of people don't like hot yoga, and for good reason. But I actually think that it is potentially a little bit bad and could be bad for you. So I am talking about hot yoga, not warm yoga. So when you live in a cold country, like in England, you can find warm classes that are quite pleasant to hot, but only once you get moving, if that makes sense. So like maybe the room is like 25 or 30 degrees or something like that. So like, yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, but you're not like absolutely sweltering the moment you walk into the room. It's just like, oh, this is hot. This is a bit warm, especially if you've been outside. And then you do like a more gentle flow because it's warm as well. And maybe even like warm yin and stuff like that, where you're kind of relaxing, but it's nice and toasty. That can be quite nice. So I'm not talking about that. But what I am talking about is actual hot yoga, which can be in the 40s, no lie, and is absolutely its own thing. You absolutely drip with sweat. It's extremely common to have illness after it. Obviously, if you go as far as like vomiting, then that would be an extremely bad sign, and you'd be into danger territory such as heat exhaustion. But even just like a headache and stuff like that is really common. Loads of people swear by it, absolutely swear by it, love it, think they should do hot yoga every day, all the time. Oh, I'm sweating out all my toxins or whatever. But I'm just not. I think it's because there's not enough guidance around it. So like you just go in and you can get a fitness instructor teaching in like a 40-degree or hotter room. You can't do that. You have to know why you're teaching in that heat. You have to be able to tell people to hold back. Like I've always said, even now, like when it's hot now, 80%. Give me 80% or less. Don't give me everything you've got, because you're going to kill yourself. You're going to be so tired, you're going to get a headache, and you're just going to end up just exhausting yourself. And that's not what we're trying to do. If it takes you hours to recover, you've had heat stroke. So don't do it. So I don't know. I'm a bit passionate about the fact that I really don't think hot yoga is, I don't know. I just think it's a bit too unregulated for my liking.
So do you not think is it one of those things that you think that might not be actually that bad if it's done properly, but it's not done properly enough? Is that what you mean? Or do you think it's just potentially bad anyway?
Well, there's definitely people that should never, ever, ever do hot yoga. But then if you potentially quite like hot weather and your body is, not as happy to sweat a bit and things like that, then potentially if you found a good, safe place, then it could be good for you. But there's a lot of, I'm not sure, because I feel like you need to have like a safety class before you go in. There's so much to make sure people know before they do a hot class that you just never going to cover in the class, like, obviously hydration is a really big, really important part. But then there's like, you can stretch further when you're hot. And that's usually not a good thing. And if you're already a flexible person, you'll just end up getting into the joints way too far and hurting yourself, because we're not trying to be contortionists or anything. I don't know. I think potentially it could be a good thing if it's done properly, but I'm not confident that the majority of studios do it properly, And that's coming from a teacher who technically trained in hot yoga, even though we didn't cover anything about the heat. So yeah, I don't know. I've not been able to go to a hot yoga class and not come out feeling like I've overdone it. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm not holding back enough, I've just never had a fantastic experience with it. I've always just come out like, wow, I'm really sweaty. That was good.
Well, people think when you sweat it's good, don't they?
I mean, there's no harm in sweating. It can be okay to be a bit hot and give it sweating, like saunas and stuff like that. But I don't know. Exercising in the heat, especially if your body's not used to it. I think the other thing as well is here in England, those kind of temperatures, we just aren't used to it. We just don't have that kind of thin blood. It took me 2 years to get used to the cold here in England after I moved from down in the east coast of America. So someone who lives in the heat constantly might absolutely be fine with hot yoga. They might never want to do it because they're already in the heat all the time, but they might be a lot better off in these hot yoga classes than someone from, England and in the north and stuff, where it might be quite cold most of the year and you really have to get used to being cold.
I sometimes think when you sweat, you feel like you've achieved more, though, don't you? You not think?
Yes, I know what you mean, but I would say to pay attention to your heart rate rather than how much you're sweating, which I know isn't nearly as satisfying.
I did 2 buckets today.
But like the more you do, especially with cardio and those kind of things that do make you sweat, the more you do it, the less your body is exhausted by it. So like the less likely you are to break out into buckets of sweat because you're just getting, your body's getting more healthy at putting itself into that kind of that physical stress, and the heart's getting a bit healthier and stuff. So you just want to get the heart rate up, but you don't have to like absolutely be dripping. So the breath and the heart rate, there you go. There are your indicators, not sweat.
Okay.
But I'd be surprised if you didn't get at least a little warm.
Are you going to be happy keeping that in, or do you think that's going to get a lot of backlash?
No, that should be fine. I might put it on my social media.
Okay. Because the thing is, the way people make money sometimes from their podcasts is they have the Patreon, don't they, account, so that they've got like episodes behind a paywall so that the fans of the podcast can listen to the secret episodes. So if we ever do that, we should have like a Kayla Uncut episode where you say all of the things I have to cut because of your controversial
all
opinions.
All these horrible things.
I'm working really, really hard to make sure you've got the nicest, cuddliest like persona possible
yoga
in these.
teacher persona.
Yeah, they have to cut all the vitriol out. So
Yeah,
we could
I
be
like
like,
that idea.
for £4 a month, you can listen to Kayla slag off loads of other like Leeds City Council and
and her neighbours.
Yeah. Is this a bit what I'm supposed to say about all the types of comedy I don't think are good, like musical comedy and improv?
Oh, I love improv.
Do you? You do, because
I
it's
think
an
so.
It's an American thing, isn't it?
You've said it
I've
before.
said
It's
that's
an American thing.
And good as well. Very good tradition of improv in America.
I like improv a lot, but I think that, like you're saying, I think that's just because I've watched it growing up and stuff.
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it. But
Does it also need to be more regulated?
yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah. Just because they're sweating on stage does not mean that they've achieved what they should have. Yeah. There are good improvisers, people. I'm not good. I mean, I'd say I'm not really a big fan of musical comedy, but some musical comedians are absolutely excellent. So
yeah,
I say this as like a complete snob that does the hardest type of comedy there is, proper jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I can be controversial as well. But
I've walked into town through the canal. Have you done that?
we talked about this before, because the houseboats chugging.
The houseboats! Yes! Yeah, I haven't done it for a while. Probably because of the houseboats.
Well, I don't mind it, but sometimes there are like people on bikes, and now I've got these Bluetooth headphones. I'm worried someone's going to pinch them off my head.
Is that a thing?
That happened to someone I know in London.
They passed on us a bicycle and grabbed them off their head.
Yeah, some bike guys just like yanked it off his head.
Wow. Like, are they over the head ones or are they in ear?
I think they were just like over the head ones.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you're
how
not going to go
you
in
grab
someone's
them,
ear, so you just grab the middle bit, yoink.
Yeah, from the head. And
you probably even say yoink.
Yeah, you have to say yoink when you do it.
So
yoink!
That's what I'm worried about when I'm walking about. I've got a metal bottle of water though, so I like hold that.
Oh, that's good.
I haven't hit anyone with it, but like I think it's a potential weapon, so
safety first.
Yeah.
I'm always worried someone's going to grab my phone out of my hands, because apparently people do that.
Yeah, they do that.
Because you use your phone to get on buses and stuff now. So like if you have it out and you're kind of holding it ready to get onto the bus, that's when people kind of run past and grab it out of your hands. Ever since I saw that, like a compilation of people doing it in London, I was like, oh my God, I'm never getting my phone out again. So now I'm like really protective and I stand near the glass, and it's a bit, sometimes I feel like I'm being a bit silly, but I think,
no, you
to be honest, I think I'm probably just cautious,
Have you ever been mugged before?
No, we've always been really, really careful. We've done backpacking trips around Europe. Being mugged is different, but like assuming pickpocketing style stuff or just running and grabbing, we've always been really, really careful. I don't think I've ever really had anything stolen. Have you?
Yeah, twice.
At something point, knife point?
Yeah, I got stabbed with a knife.
You guys, holy shit.
Yeah.
When was that?
In Edinburgh.
Oh my God, I like Edinburgh. You're ruining it for me.
Yeah, it was 3 a.m. and I was walking back to where I was staying.
Well, I don't usually be around it.
One festival,
okay.
So.
What happened?
Well, just these guys asked for my stuff, otherwise they would stab me. And then I was a little bit reluctant to give them absolutely everything, so they were a bit more forceful.
Where did they do it?
In the leg.
That's horrible.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter now. I mean, they're just little jabs. I'm not trying to downplay it, but you can say, I was stabbed 3 times. It makes it sound like you're in a prison fight or something, but it was just 3 jabs in the leg, and they punched me as well.
But yeah.
I got everything back because I got caught.
Oh, did you?
So I got all my stuff back, and then I got criminal injury compensation, and it paid for my first car. So not that I'm grateful to them or anything like that, but I mean that's years ago.
Did you say you've been mugged twice though?
No, that's the only successful attempt.
Oh.
Someone tried to mug me on a bus in London once. These 2 guys got on, and I was sitting on a night bus with my friend. I was staying at his. 2 guys came up and said, "Oh, give us your phone or something," and I was like. Well, there were loads of people on the bus, so I was just like, well, it's not like it's just the 2 of us, so I was just like, no. And then me and my friend just pushed past them both as they were like, and then said to the bus driver, oh, there's 2 guys upstairs trying to take our stuff. And the bus driver went, oh, I knew I shouldn't have let them on. Because there must have been, dodgy seeming. And then she goes, that's what they do though, don't they? They prey on the weak. And I was just like, I am standing here,
You always going to go, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I was like...
Look at these muscles. Look at these guns. So, did you want to talk about
something substantial, maybe? Do you not think we can make a whole episode of me being stabbed in the leg?
Yeah, maybe we could. Well, if we talk about the trauma, how were you next time you went to London?
Edinburgh.
I was. Really sweaty?
I made sure that I stayed in a flat near the city centre rather than have to walk across a certain.
But were you worried? Did you feel anxious, like in your chest?
No, I wasn't that bad.
See, there's no story there.
Sorry.
You got to be like, yes, I was traumatized by it. I was sweating buckets walking down the road. Everybody gauges trauma differently. That's the problem, isn't it? That's why it's like, some people who have been in what you might say 100% without a doubt is a very traumatic situation, like war, battlefields and stuff.
Or hot yoga class.
And then someone else, or a hot yoga class. And someone else who's like, had an incident that was quite stressful. Maybe not as far as actually being physically abused, but like, maybe threatened or something. That could be super traumatic for them. And everybody just gauges trauma differently based on like so many things. But trauma, you never know.
No, you don't. So you did a class on digestion yesterday.
Yeah.
So digestion appears to be another one of those things that yoga can magically solve. Is that right?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I think that if you look into it, exercise is really good for your digestion, so getting things moving and stuff. But on top of that, your digestion is directly linked to your parasympathetic nervous system, which is called your...
Rest and digest.
Yeah, see? Rest and digest. See?
You said that so many times, if I got that wrong.
So you need to be able, if you're not in a restful place, then your body won't digest properly. Then when we were talking about stress and like that, you may see, like on TV and stuff, you may see someone who's like, murder mystery shows or something where they see something awful and then they vomit, and they vomit because it was so shocking for them. Like, but that is actually how your body works. So even if you're not going so far as to like vomit because of something traumatic or stressful or whatever, surprising, low-level stress still affects how well your body digests food. So you're not quite in the ideal state for digestion. You really do need to rest. That's why like you shouldn't eat on the go. You should take some time to eat. Sit down.
You're talking to the wrong person to some degree about that, because sometimes if I do a gig that's like 3 hours away, I won't be able to sit indoors and have my meal. So I sometimes have sandwiches in the car or a wrap or something.
While you're driving?
Yeah, while I'm driving.
Is that not dangerous?
No, because I'm in cruise control.
No eating and driving.
I'm in cruise control on the motorway. So if I'm driving down windy roads in the country, I won't eat like a KFC bucket or something.
Windy little roads and then like chicken going everywhere.
Yeah. There wouldn't be chicken, just kind of clarify that.
Gross. Fries. French fries flying everywhere. What are we talking about?
You got to be careful about you can't just eat anything while you're driving.
I just mean like if you're in a rush and you're rushing off somewhere and you're like, I have to rush here, but I need to eat. It's really like not good for you. If you do that once a blue moon, it's fine. But I mean like that's not a good habit to get into.
What's the difference between eating it driving and eating it when you're on a plane or on a train or something and sat down? And what's the difference?
Well, a lot of the time when you're driving, you have to be in like a heightened state of awareness, don't you? And if you're not, then potentially could be a problem.
Yeah, but you don't. If you're in cruise control on the motorway at 10 o'clock at night or something.
I mean, there are situations where like it would be nearly the same as sitting on a train or sitting in a plane and just like. But
you're not in any sort of state of alertness when you're at your kitchen table or something. I mean, what if burglars come in or something?
Oh man, now everyone's going to be stressed while they're eating because they're constantly worrying about burglars. Right, I lost my flow.
Sorry,
I don't know what was going on.
I think I'm just trying to undermine everything for change.
It's okay. So, yoga can help by helping you stay calm. How about that?
Right.
Because yoga helps naturally with feelings of stress and anxiety a lot of the time. I mean, obviously, go to a power yoga class, you're not going to feel that. But if you go to your average Joe yoga class or a hatha class, there's usually at least a little bit of focus on, calming or in your shavasana or focusing the mind or something like that, which can lower your stress levels. And then movement. And that doesn't have to be forceful, like... when we talk about dance exercise, it doesn't have to be a Zumba class. I don't mean like just any old movement. I mean, like, yeah, any movement is good, but you can also do kind of gentle movements that are more pointed to digestion. So the class that I did yesterday, that was specifically not if you had just eaten. So that wasn't intended, you know, like don't on Christmas Day, don't turn that class on and think you're going to get a good class when you're absolutely stuffed. That's not what I'm talking about. It was more just about like the day after, you know, Boxing Day. You ate loads yesterday. Now it's like, you know, slow digestion. Things are heavy. I don't know. So then maybe you would do that class just to help digestion along. But there's a lot of pressure and release techniques. So like you press on your belly and then hold that and then release. And for digestion, it acts a bit like massage. So it can just literally help move things around. And then it does have the added benefit of whatever else you've got there. So if you menstruate and things like that, then that will help with that kind of thing as well. Just by it's in the same place. So it's just going to help by nature.
Well, just pushing it and then releasing.
Yeah, pressure and release techniques. Yeah. They help blood flow. So blood flow to the intestines, but also blood flow if you're bleeding. So it's kind of interesting. Helps with cramping and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I usually don't have problems with digestion. Sorry to brag.
I'm jealous.
Do you have IBS? Is that?
Yes.
I thought, so.
Yes. Yeah.
And you do loads of yoga, and I'm fine. So this sounds like. Yeah.
I just have to be careful about what I eat. So your average. You things that people know, like, I don't know, make them a bit bloaty, like eating loads of broccoli or beans or something like that will just cause pain rather than bloating. You know what I mean? So I just have to be a bit careful. It's not really like really bad, and it's not all my food, and I don't struggle with it. I just have to be mindful not to have like a giant, you know, broccoli stir fry and then think I'm going to be all right in a few hours, because I won't. But if you're not overly bothered and it's not something you have lots of problems with, you can take Buscopan mostly, which is an antispasmodic medication that does actually take the pain away. So if you really struggle, or it was a one-off and it was an accident or something like that, there are painkillers that help.
But the yoga's helps with IBS in general, is it? Or is it not really?
I think the thing is if you don't, so it's really healthy. So something that IBS can kind of trigger is unhealthy, like bathroom trips. So like not going enough or going too much even, or something like that. And it just kind of fickle and does whatever it wants. So if you have a regular movement practice where you're moving, you know, like your sun salutations, up, down, you know, folding forward and standing up and folding forward and standing, those kind of movements right there, because that movement happens at the base of the back, which means that the stomach gets a lot of compression and release just by doing sun salutations. So that kind of movement around and about can really help just keep things flowing. It assists with your natural movement. So peristalsis? Oh, I hate that word so much. Basically, you have muscles in the intestines that move it. You know, like you don't have to think about. They naturally move things around through the digestive system. And your body moving can assist those muscles with moving things through the digestive system. And twists really help with that. Again, a similar kind of compression.
I thought you were going to say twists
style.
At some point.
Yeah. So there's a really big thing in the yoga world. Here, I'll go a bit controversial again. Right. There's a really big thing in the yoga world.
The intellectual dark webs yoga podcast.
Twists are detoxifying. Oh, twist out all the toxins. Your liver deals with your toxins. You don't need to twist your liver. It's not, in fact, you probably won't because it's in your rib cage. So, so you can't really twist toxins out of your body. Your body deals with them through the organs that are designed to deal with toxins. You know, so and by toxins I do mean actual pollution. You know, things that come into your body that really shouldn't be there, or that you could have too much of. So if you have too much of certain vitamins, you don't necessarily weed them out. Some certain vitamins have to be processed, so you can overdose on like vitamin E. You can have too much of that, and symptoms of like vitamin E are like itchy skin. Get really itchy and stuff like that. So like, but that's just like one example.
You just mimicked scratching just then, didn't you?
Yeah,
which no one would have seen. Yeah. But if I say it, you can just imagine you doing it then. So.
I'll have to get a picture of me itching my leg, and then you can. So your organs sort that kind of stuff out. But again, twisting can help just with that compression and release. So fresh blood into certain areas by pressing. So like just as simple as what we do in our hand. Like if you were to take your finger and squeeze your finger in the fist of your other hand and then release, it's white and then it goes pink again. So that's no blood, and then the blood comes back. Yeah. So it's a very simple kind of idea. Press and release, and then blood flows back. And there's a little bit of a theory, especially if you hold it for a longer time, that the blood that flows back is different blood, so it's fresh. And then that can be the same. So we're obviously like bags of water as well. So that's the same for like your fascia, self-massage, release, and stuff like that. Just trying to get fluids moving. Because we're so much more than just blood, obviously. We have a lot of fluid in our endocrine system and everything like that, in lymph system. And we have lots of different fluids going in the body that regulate things. So it's not just blood, but it can help to just keep things moving. A lot of things don't want to be still. It's not good to hold still. We need to move all the time, every day, to keep all the body happy. But in terms of like, specifically problems with your digestive system, like IBS or pain or something like that, sometimes it can help if you're in pain to do just the compression release, like just pressing on the belly in your child's pose or something like that, and then release. That can be quite releasing, can help with cramping. In terms of like if you're not in pain, then having a regular practice can help keep you mindful of movement and stuff. And then also your yoga practice in general encourages you to look at your whole life, not just what's going on the mat. So maybe you eventually start to find patterns like, oh, I can't eat peppers. They kill me. Why didn't I notice this before? Or something like that, and then you kind of learn a little bit about yourself. A good one is your Superman or your Superwoman, where you lay flat on your belly and then you lift your hands and feet up and your belly presses into the floor. That one's a good one. But repetitive, so like up, down.
Not when you
down.
fall, though. You mean just in general? Right?
Yeah, that's not practice for when you're actually full of food. When you're actually full of food, all you want to do is lie down with your feet about 2 feet up and then just stay there.
I don't like lying down with a full stomach because you feel it was sloshing.
Well, if you're that full, you've eaten too much.
Oh, okay.
Next time, don't eat so much.
Why?
There's like 3 things you're supposed to like sit with your back against a wall for 5 minutes, then lay in shavasana for 5 minutes, and then lay with your legs up for 5 minutes. And I think you're supposed to do them in that order.
That's when you're really full.
When you've just eaten, yeah. But I mean, you should never be really full.
Well, I do live in the West. So...
I mean, I know we all have lives where we sometimes overeat. I'm not saying it's not a thing, but I mean, like, obviously you don't want to overeat every time you eat.
Yeah, I don't think I do, but sometimes it's nice to have a big meal at the end of the day, isn't it?
Hey, you're not going to get me arguing. I love food. I ate half a melon today.
Oh, a whole half a melon, did you? Ooh.
I could eat another half now, to be honest, and it's only been, 2 hours?
So what I do when I feel full that helps is I drink sparkling water or chewing gum.
Are you joking?
No.
Isn't that like the opposite of what you should do when you're full? Because both of those things put extra air into your stomach?
They sort it out. I'm not joking. They're just...
What? How?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
It helps me.
Okay, I'm going to need an expert to explain this to me.
Well, my logic is that the gum makes the stomach think food's still coming, so it works harder.
Okay.
It speeds up.
I'm not saying gum isn't a good idea after you've eaten. Sometimes gum can help, especially if it's mint gums.
And the other thing I think that happens, now I'm not a scientist, I have to say, but I think sparkling water, I think the bubbles go down there and then they make a load more air come back up, like they cause some sort of, so you just burp all of the...
Oh, so like any excess air that was there, it like combines with the...
Yeah, and it forces it out.
In the water.
Yeah, it's like a volcanic burp eruption. So, I mean, I don't think I burp that much actually, but I feel like, so maybe it's just doing it sort of like steam coming out my nose or something, like from back through the esophagus and through there. But I'm not a biologist, but
yeah, like, I'm not really. I mean, obviously, if you have like an unsettled stomach, Like, there are herbs that help with that, like mint. Like, but don't get mint flavored things. I mean, actual mint, like a herbal mint tea or something like that can actually help because there's chemicals in the mint.
I drink peppermint tea after meals, but I don't think it does. Exactly. I don't think it does anything as good as the Garmin's fizzy water. So,
well, everybody, get yourself some fizzy water and feed back. Because this is interesting. I've never heard that before.
I drink fizzy water during meals now, not like if I'm in a restaurant.
During meals?
If I'm in a restaurant during a meal, and I think it makes the whole process better, I think.
I'm not sure about this.
Right.
There's even some really strict people who say you shouldn't ever drink at all while you're eating.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure I agree with that either, but yeah.
Well... What do you do?
We need to get a nutritionalist on the show or something and see what their opinion is.
I can only tell you what works for me.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's fine. You do you.
But I mean, the inverse is that I can take anything, like gut-wise. I can eat anything.
Yeah.
Never really have a problem.
My mother-in-law's like that. I wish I was like that, but I'm not.
I will eat anything. I mean, I make ethical choices sometimes, but...
You mean if someone said, "Oh, here, have this, try it," you would try it?
Yeah,
yeah.
And I probably won't suffer for it, so,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, perhaps
Crazy.
I shouldn't be... I'm like a Volkswagen Beetle. Basically, everything just keeps going. I've got a VW engine in the bowels. So that's what it is. Yeah. The Garmin fizzy water is basically like a good oil for the for your guts. That's all you've got to do. But I'm sure all of your twisting and yoga probably helps out. So, but
yeah. I tend to not really hardly ever have any problems with my IBS.
Okay.
But like I said, potentially that's because I know what my triggers are now anyway. I think it's funny, though, that you do really gassy things and that helps. I would have said that was like the opposite.
Yeah, well, no, they used to think smoking was healthy, though, didn't they? So what do they?
Yeah, you're right.
It's like the opposite to that, isn't it?
Yeah, but if it works, if it does actually make you feel better or seems to help, then yeah. I mean, I think that is part of the reason why it's really hard to do like more holistic healthcare, because in more like medical science-based studies, they want it to be the same for everyone. And if it's not, they won't give it the green light. Like, I mean, they'll say like, "Oh, it's safe" or whatever, but they won't be like, "Oh, this is now the treatment." "Oh, the treatment for this is now this. You do this and you will be better," because it might not work for some people. So then they don't ever give it the green light. It doesn't end up in, necessarily end up in hospitals unless, you need specialized treatment and you start going down loads of routes, But like if you go to someone who does like holistic medicine or something, they might be like, "Oh, try this. No, that didn't work. Try this. That didn't work. Try this." And it feels a bit weird, but it can be one really good way of sorting things out because you find what works for you. I think it's a bit odd that we think that something that works for one person should work for everybody. So I think the thing is like we're busy. We've got busy lives. We've got stuff going on. We've got jobs. We've got families. You've got work that you're trying to get on with, and perhaps you're studying and stuff like that. And basically, you're busy. And learning all about your own body, how it works, what's going to help it, what's not going to help it. Not just like in terms of digestion, but movement, what you can do, what you can't do, what triggers pain. Maybe deep back bends always sends, your back into spasms, and that's it. And that, so you don't do them. Like, there's loads of kind of like little tweaks, but basically we have to take our own health into our own hands and sort it out. And if we're too busy to do that, we leave it until we get to the point where we need to go to a doctor, and then they give us methods that work for everybody, but they might not be the best method for you. The best method would have been to take your health into your own hands right at the beginning, or as soon as you started having issues, and see what you can do to help yourself, which obviously I'm not saying, "Oh, everybody's lazy." Everybody's busy. We've all got stuff going on. The last thing we need to do is try and keep a food diary so we can figure out what's, causing our IBS. Oh, hold on. What was in that burger I had the other night? It was pea protein and what? And you're trying to like make a note of everything. I feel it's hard work, but it's worth it if you feel like you can squeeze it into your life, because it will make a difference to everything, how you feel, how much energy you have, how enjoyable things are. So if you have issues with a certain area, like I know my neck is a bit, so I hardly ever do things like shoulder stands. I'm very, very mindful of my shoulder stand. I don't try and go straight anymore or anything like that. And I never set it off. So I hardly ever get that crick in my neck anymore and stuff. So whereas when I was pushing myself, trying to do the really deep shoulder stands and stuff, I was getting, pinched nerves all the time. And then that affects how you move and how much you want to cook or how much you want to rest because you feel like it hurts. And yeah, I don't know. I think learning about your own body and slowly trying to live around it is like, it can be life-changing, really.
I don't ever get neck problems.
Yeah,
do you know why that is? Because I bathe in fizzy water. Just get a bottle of San Pellegrino and just chuck it over my head every day.
You shake it up like a
Formula One driver.
Like champagne.
Yeah.
Like champagne and then like... Anyway, I think I've covered it. Did I cover it?
I think so, but I think I sabotaged that so much. So, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm now bracing myself for a barrage of negative letters from improv groups and people that do hot yoga, and I hope we've not upset anybody. I mean, we're reasonable people. We sound reasonable. We're just, we both said it's not necessarily bad. I'm just covering our backs here, hopefully, just a little bit. I mean, it would be a weird thing to be cancelled over, wouldn't it? But anyway, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. If you loved the show, which is hopefully what is your feeling towards it, then please tell other people about it. That would be fantastic because we don't have any money going into marketing, advertising or anything like that. It's purely rely on sort of word of mouth and kind of the show sort of speaking for itself a bit. So you don't have to broadcast it on the internet if you don't want, but if you have a friend that you think is interested, you can tell them, or you can broadcast it on the internet if you so wish. Share our posts or give us a nice review on iTunes / Apple Podcasts. So we will see you hopefully in 2 weeks if we haven't upset you because you used to be on Whose Line Is It Anyway or something. Right, bye now.